Hello guys, today we have a 2016 Honda Civic. This is a 4-cylinder engine, and we are gonna do spark plugs on this. To do spark plugs, we have to remove this top cover. They're underneath here. So we're gonna remove this number 10 bolt here, number 10 here, number 10 here, and we're gonna lift this cover out. This car uses NGK plugs. You can find these aftermarket. You don't have to go to dealer. They're very expensive at the dealer, but you get it probably like $30 cheaper than what dealer is charging. The same plugs, okay? So you do want to use NGK laser iridium plugs. This is what the car is called for. So we're gonna put these plugs in and we're gonna show you step by step. So we're ready to remove the number 10. Once you have these number 10s removed, the cover should come off. Make sure you place it somewhere safe. You always want to keep the bolt somewhere to the side so nothing drops inside the cylinder in the engine. Next, we're going to remove the connectors and the coils. Each coil has a number 10 bolt on the top. After you remove the connectors for the coil, you can put the harness to the side and remove the number 10s on each coil. Then you can lift out the coils. One, deuce. These are the ignition coils, and the plugs are underneath. 3, 4. The plugs are inside. Alright, to pull out these plugs, we're gonna use a snap-on socket. It's like a small little 14mm socket. It's a special socket for these plugs, and we're gonna pull out these plugs. So this car, as we were saying, it has about 60,000 miles, and the plugs are due for this car. So we're gonna take the socket with a long extension. We're gonna reach it into the plugs, and we're gonna pull out the plugs. You always want to do the job carefully. You don't want to break any plugs. If you do break a plug, and that's it, it's going to be a big job. It's going to be a big mess. If you don't have proper tools or the socket, try not to do this job. Take it to some professional mechanic. There's the old plugs. There's 2. There's 3. And the last one. That's 4. Now we're gonna take this plug and compare it to the new ones. You always want to check the thread and the length of the plug. So let's match up the old plug with the new plug. If you can see, the tip of the plug,
the number
is yellow. That's indication this plug are burnt out already. That's where the yellowness is. All right, so let's
you want to match out the numbers.
Match the number, the part numbers on it. NGK, that's the original plug. And then you also want to compare the threads and the depth of the plug. So it's the same exact. And these are pre-gapped, so you don't have to gap anything. If you buy a good part, they come pre-gapped and they're made for your car. Next, you're gonna take the plugs, gently put them inside with your fingers. You can use a socket, grab one with the socket and put it in, but since we're experienced, we're gonna put the plugs in there gently and then hand tighten them. Make sure we catch a couple of threads. And after that, we're gonna snug them and then torque them. You always have to use torque specs, proper spec on any critical job like the spark plugs. So all four, we're gonna catch the threads first. Make sure you take your time, turn the plugs so all the threads as much as possible are caught.
Now we want to torque it.
Alright, we're gonna torque these and then come right back and finish up the job by putting the ignition coils and all the bolts on. Okay, next, once the plugs are nice and tight, you're gonna take the 4 ignition coils, put them back into the cylinder bores. So each plug gets a coil. Make sure you connect the connectors. If you leave any connector loose, it might misfire. The check engine light might come on. Make sure everything is nice and tight. And then you're gonna take 4 screws, the bolts that holds the coils down.
You want to catch the thread by hand first.
Catch the threads by hand and then tighten them. These 4 bolts will hold the coils down into the block. At the end, you're gonna line up the harness and then put the cover on with the 4 bolts. Make sure you catch the threads for the 4 bolts by hand first. And this is a plastic valve cover, so you don't want to damage it by tightening the bolts too much. You might strip it or cause it to break, so be gentle. Once you have these 4 bolts, and that's it, the job is done.
Bada bing, bada boom.
At the end, you can start the car, and the car should not have check engine light, and it should not misfire, and the job is complete. And that's how you change spark plugs on 2016 Honda Civic.